So, I've actually met you before. I performed at the same event. I believe it was Pique Fall 2022. So, welcome
Yes.
back. And at that time, you were doing group work. So, you actually got to perform twice. I remember seeing in the courtyard, also in
Yeah.
Tiotià. So, I guess my first question would be, what should audience members expect with your performance? Because you did say it's audio visual, so can you maybe break that down more and give more of an explanation?
Yes. So basically, at first, I was just thinking of weaving a sonic voyage. In general, what I like to tell people is just that I am coming in with the intentions I have and with a space where I want to convey certain things that make my heart sing, certain questioning, certain concerns. And tonight is no different from past sonic voyages. There's always this will to kind of weave a story that doesn't offer answers, but rather ask questions to myself and also to people who are with me. And tonight, the peculiarity is that I get to do the visuals. So I was offered the possibility to do visuals for the set, which I accepted very happily. So the images that are used are in direct reference to the sources I used to weave this voyage, which taps a lot into ancestral rage, which is something that's been very central to me in the past. In the past years, I would say, like, how to nurture it, how to not let it take over you, because I believe that as human beings, period, but especially as someone who has ancestors who dare to free themselves, who has yet to go home because the country where I'm from is still being punished for daring to free itself and to give the tools for other people to free themselves. I think because you have this understanding that is from before your physical entity right now of what freedom is, there's this kind of rage that comes up every time you witness how blatantly humanity is being disrespected for money, for political gains.
Yeah.
So I've been very eager to talk about ancestral rage as something that needs to be nurtured rather than something that needs to be overcome, that needs to be set aside. So I think that's a central point for tonight. Just asking questions about the space we are or are not making for our rightful grief, for our rightful rage, for our rightful despair, and how to make sure to alchemize that energy so it does not make us freeze, but it makes us act towards the reality we want to see. Because I believe that us all as ancestors in training have a duty towards that world we want to see. So as we face all of those things that don't resonate with us, we also need to ask ourselves, okay, what am I doing so I can see that world that I want to see, that I know is possible as well, that people have come before me who are not ancestors have told me is possible. So yeah.
It's very inspiring. Thank you for I feel like that was an amazing answer.
Thank you.
We are going to eventually take some questions from the chat.
Awesome.
So just reminding y'all, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, and Vin will help me out and pin some of them for me. But I'll get into the next question because it kind of related to what you're presenting today.
Yes.
1 year ago, you launched your Sonic Journal, and I know that there are 6 editions.
Yes.
And I was just curious, like, what is the idea behind the Sonic Journals? Like, what do you want your audience to get from that?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of things I create are just based on me experimenting with stuff. I always say that curiosity is the main thing I use to navigate everything. So whether it comes to art or figuring out how a certain mechanism works. It's just curiosity. And I think I also have the luxury of having a village that has always encouraged me to nurture that curiosity. So it's really helpful because this is still something I can do very easily. I just wonder how something is done and I can dive into it because I trust that I have the people around me to nurture a space for me to just experiment. And for the journal, oftentimes I think about parallels between DJs and writers. I think about how music is our language and about how a DJ set can be disconstructed as a love letter, so the DJ can be perceived as a poet or also as a researcher based on what you're presenting and what you're showing,
Yeah.
what you're sharing with the people you're engaging with. And for the sonic journal, I was thinking of was that I love to do what I call field recording. So it's basically where you just record snippets of your environment. And a lot of times when I'm crafting sonic voyages, they're directly related to how I'm feeling at the moment I'm creating them. Well, because what I create is an extension of me, so of course it makes sense, but I just want to like reaffirm that.
Yeah.
So for me, the sonic journals were kind of just like entries, because as I was creating them, I really wanted to honor how I was feeling. There was a moment in time where I thought, wrongfully so, that I needed to kind of perform joy all the time when you're mixing. And then I tapped into interviews by Nina Simone, who very openly talks about how she's enraged and talks about how she was conveying her anger through her music.
Yeah.
And then I reminded myself that the best way for me to be an artist as I yearn to be is to simply be honest.
Yeah.
There's moments where I will be sad behind the decks. There's moments where I will be angry. And instead of wanting to dissociate myself from that humanity, I should honor it. So then based on that, I started doing these entries, and then writing little blurbs as to where I created them, what time it was it sunny, how was I feeling, what was the goal of this sonic journal. Some of entries are like, I don't really know what that was. I just wanted to create.
Yeah.
Others are for days where I was a little bit sad. Others are for days where I was joyful, but I really wanted to just use that kind of like a literal journal.
Yeah.
But then let the music that other artists have created convey things I was feeling, or things I did not even know I was feeling prior to weaving the sonic voyage together.
That's awesome. I actually have kind of an additional question for what you're saying.
Yes.
As far as dissemination, I noticed that you have them on SoundCloud. Have you ever thought about having them as a physical release and having them so people can own them?
Yeah.
And I guess at what point of the sonic journals would you feel like that's a good time? Because I know you have 6 now. Would you think about maybe compiling them? Like, what have you ever thought of that?
I started thinking of that more recently because I fell into the YouTube universe of hi-fi speaker building.
Okay.
So I kind of just, I think there's this thing, right, on digital portals where you just click onto something and then the algorithm reacts like a father figure that understands that you like that one thing. So they'll buy it for you compulsively because they're like, oh my God, you like this so much, so I need to buy it to you all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But how it's represented digitally is that you have this influx of videos just coming your way. So I've been looking and thinking more about the analog, the physical as well, because this is something I also chatted about a lot with friends. Shout out to Annie. But we were talking about how it can be daunting to create in this very digital era because so much labor goes into maybe a post or a website, but not something that is tangible. So we were talking about the importance of still having physical things, whether it's archives, whether it's pieces we create, whether it's like a physical print of the picture you released. So with all of this in mind, I have been thinking of ways to share tapes. But then I've also been looking at the environmental print of that because that's the downside with analog.
We're I believe we're still good. Yeah.
All right.
And a white screen. Sorry about that.
Is everything okay? So yeah, I've just been thinking about these things, but for sure that's definitely something I've had in mind. I know that once original music comes out, I definitely want to be able to press records. I've already done research. Shout out to Mira Silvers as well, my lovely manager, who has also done research to look at sustainable ways of doing records, which exist. I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, like cassettes, records.
Yeah.
Even CDs, honestly.
Yeah, CDs.
Is something that definitely interests me.
That's awesome. I think we'll try to see if there's some questions in the chat as well. I'm sure from everything you said, there was probably amazing questions, or I know there were some great ones for Tish as well. So I'm gonna go with the one that I first see, and then if we have some more time, we'll jump through them. But you mentioned that you were a DJ Oh, sorry. You mentioned that a DJ set can be a letter or a poem to the audience. What are you excited to spin at the dance party tonight?
Ooh, yes. Thank you for this lovely question. For tonight, I would say that what I'm excited for is really to tap into a very vast array of emotions that I believe I have at some point was ashamed to feel, but by exchanging with other ancestors in training, which are all of us, I realized that damn no, it's right for me to not be able to just move as if everything is okay. It's right for me to be angry. It's right for me to be saddened. It's right for me to want to burn everything to the ground. And fire is something that is also very central when I talk about my experiences, because I think about liberation in Haiti was through like burning things to the ground. And I also think about the amount of people who have set themselves on fire because it just could not withstand what is going on. So for me tonight is really about opening up the space for that to transpire. I was joking with a friend of mine who's also going to perform tonight, Digital Polyglot.
Hey.
And I was telling them how the songs I have tonight are so loud that if people want to scream on the dance floor, nobody will hear them. So it's really to open that space, because I believe that part of what will enable us, or part of what enables us to be able to think of freedom better, is to really fully feel these emotions such as despair. I don't believe there's necessarily a space for that to be felt. So all I hope is that the percussions, the vocals, the interludes that will enable people to just move their bodies in ways to shake it all off. Or at least to shake a good part of it off, and to really allow themselves to be in that space where oftentimes we're told we should just be happy and feel all this array of emotion and let it go. So that's what I'm excited for. I would say tonight is a love letter to our rightful anger.
I feel like I need that right now, so I'm really looking forward to it. Honestly, I need to let out some anger, so this is great.
No, I was literally in my hotel and I did not know there was a rally today, or a protest, and I heard them from the window, and I just looked because I was trying to find a way to figure out where they were, so I could literally just go join them. Unfortunately, I don't know if the police shut it down, but it stopped very abruptly, so I don't know what happened. But that fueled me as well, because I was just like, it's raining today. It's a very easy weather to just stay home and do nothing. And you have people who are holding onto and nurturing that ancestral rage. So I felt even more grounded into like, oh yes, this is what tonight is about.
Yes.
It's about a lot of other things as well, but I would say the focus is really a space to honor that. Because it's important for us to understand that feeling that emotion means that we're aware that the world that we live in right now does not sustain us. Because all of these emotions will not be within us. We would not be feeling that if we thought this was okay. And I believe it is a very beautiful and important thing to celebrate in a world that invites us all the time to just kind of fall in apathy and not let those emotions in.
That's amazing.
I hope this responds to the question.
Oh my gosh. Yes, this is amazing. Okay, let me see if there's any more questions. We have one there. Let's see. Then we'll probably try to find one for me as well. Thank you for all the help, then. Okay, so far, no more questions, but I feel like I could muster up one more question. I guess this would be too much of a premature question, but I guess talking about Pique, and this is now your second time here. We talked a little bit before we started the interview about Pique. I guess, how does Pique differ for you comparing to other festivals? What would you say is something that brought you back to come for a second time?
Yes, I would say this. It is the care that is put towards making sure that the collaborators, so your collaborators, are aware of your intentions. I'll add details to that. I do not believe that us as ancestors in training have bad intentions to begin with, but I believe that oftentimes we fall onto the fact that we have good intentions too much, to the point that we forget that there's labor of love to be done for those intentions to be understood. And I believe that a lot of time, especially in art realms, a lot of people have very good intentions but are not eager to put in the work to materialize them, because they understand that it's going to be a lot of work, or they want to take shortcuts. And what I feel for Pique, whether it was in 2022 or today, is that there's really this care, and you can see that everybody who's involved, or at least that I have the chance to have met in the Pique team, is really working hard. I believe that oftentimes labor of love, and labor as in constructing something that sustains us, and work as in having to work to be able to pay for your groceries, are conflated. So that makes people not want to work in moments where they're talking about loving certain things or wanting to honor certain things, where it's like, no, that's a labor of love. That's not work as in a 9 to 5. That's something that will require you to get up and do sacrifices and do a lot of things, you know. My friend and I were also talking, because I know it is a hefty topic, unfortunately, because we have been lied to a lot by entities that are supposed to give us information, which is public health and the government. But COVID, folks kind of just don't talk about it at all. So to have the festival have, I believe, a survey where people can just write how they feel about certain measures being put in place for everybody to be able to access the festival, or even offering a digital iteration like this. This is something, again, that has been brought forward by people even before the pandemic started. But to see it being put in action so promptly by a festival I know does not have the same funding as other big festivals who refrain from doing that, just by a lack of care for mirroring their intentions with their actions, makes me come back every single time. And as I said, I really want to stress that whether it comes to Rachel, or it comes to you, or it comes to Ryan, who's a stage manager, or even sound folks, it's just like everybody is so full of care for what they're doing and actually eager to do the work. And that's something that makes my heart sing, because that's also a way I want to engage in the world. And it's refreshing to see that being done on such a big scale. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. I mean it. I'm just like, oh my God. When there are folks in the city, so in Mooniyang, who get booked for Pique, I'm like, you're going to have such a beautiful time. Like, oh my God. Because it's, as I said, the care is there. And it's very easy not to care. That's why I want us to give ourselves our flowers for that. It's very easy to just do things in a half-assed way. It's still going to like work. You know, some festivals have spent 20 years doing that, and they're still going. But to see you putting care every single year and expanding as well, while being filled with care for what you do and what it is that you say you want to provide space for, is really heartwarming and just so inspiring as well. So that's really what brings me back. Just knowing that, like, wow, I'm surrounded by people who care, and who care outside of their intentions only. And that's really lovely.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, thank you so much. That's perfect timing. So thanks, y'all, for asking the questions in the chat and tuning in. I'm going to pass it off to Zoe now for the next interview. But yeah, everyone say bye to Glozy, and we'll see you on stage soon.
Bye.